A young boy stands in a fantasy town, realizing he's been reincarnated. The boy's face lights up with excitement, thinking about this fantasy world. Images of a knight, a dragon, and magic illustrate his fantasy dreams. A child's crayon drawing shows his former life's dream of adventure. Filled with excitement, the boy begins his second life in this dream world. A stark black panel with a single word signals a sudden tonal shift. The boy grimaces as he eats a meal of coarse, unappetizing food. A primitive toilet is shown, using a slime monster for sewage disposal. The boy looks utterly disgusted, realizing reality is harsher than he imagined. A close-up shows a hand holding a faintly glowing, sharp crystal. He examines a crystal lantern, realizing this world lacks modern technology. Exhausted, he collapses onto his bed, reminiscing about his convenient past life. A close-up on his eyes shows a glimmer of a desperate wish. He reaches out, wishing he could travel to a world of his choosing. A sudden, brilliant flash of light erupts, startling him in his room. He sits up in bed, staring in awe at the brightly lit doorway. He stands before a portal, realizing it is his newfound special ability. He steps through a portal into a prehistoric world with a dinosaur. Another portal reveals a futuristic world with massive, towering skyscrapers. A single boot steps firmly onto the ground, signifying his arrival somewhere new. The title page reveals an older Aaron, now a merchant, with a mysterious figure. A peaceful, rural Japanese village is nestled amongst lush green mountains. He looks up in surprise at a weathered Japanese bus stop sign. With a look of disbelief, Aaron wonders if he has arrived in Japan. An elderly woman opens a sliding door, commenting on how long it's been. Aaron turns his head as an unseen person calls out to him. The kind elderly woman asks the unfamiliar Aaron what he is doing there. The woman kindly offers to share her lunch with the seemingly lost Aaron. A plate of soba noodles is placed on the table in front of him. The woman watches with concern as Aaron eats the noodles with great emotion. He emotionally slurps the noodles, remarking on how long it has been. The woman comments that his Japanese is surprisingly fluent for a foreigner. He sees his reflection in a window, confirming his otherworld appearance. He suddenly remembers his blonde hair and golden eyes from his new body. He realizes his language ability is an effect of his world-traveling skill. Aaron stands thoughtfully, having come to an important realization about his power. A diagram illustrates that only he can pass through the moon gate. The diagram clarifies that non-living objects can be carried between worlds. Aaron smiles, realizing the massive potential for profit his power holds. A chibi Aaron complains about his uncomfortable life and lack of money. He clenches his fist, determined to use his power to make money. Aaron has a sudden flash of inspiration, a light bulb appearing over his head. A diagram shows gold is cheap in Asfial, but can buy a house in Japan. A diagram shows a fancy cake from Japan can buy a mansion in Asfial. Aaron grins excitedly, realizing he can become rich by reselling Japanese goods. A vertical panel shows Aaron buying a large quantity of snacks and sweets. The old woman's garden is shown as she thanks Aaron for his purchase. The old woman thanks Aaron, explaining his purchase is a great help. A chibi Aaron explains to a curious child that sweets are very popular. Aaron waves goodbye to the child, thinking about selling goods in Asfiel. With a determined look, Aaron resolves to put his new plan into action. A small panel shows the top of Aaron's head as he approaches someone. The merchant Albert asks Aaron where he managed to acquire a certain item. Aaron asks Albert if he thinks he can successfully sell to the nobility. A close-up shows a piece of chocolate that Aaron believes will sell well. Aaron suggests to Albert that he might be able to sell through connections. Albert scoffs, telling Aaron that selling to nobles is nearly impossible. An illustration shows a noblewoman being served cake by her staff. Albert explains that Aaron would be breaking the unwritten rules of merchants. Albert angrily tells Aaron to be quiet, frustrated by his naivety. Albert quietly admits that Aaron is right about needing connections to succeed. Albert looks downcast, stating a small merchant like him can't compete. Aaron apologizes and says he will find another way to sell his goods. Aaron pulls out a snack, saying he has other goods besides sweets. Albert looks at the snack, asking Aaron for his opinion on it. A young woman and her maid greet Aaron and Albert cheerfully. The woman laughs, remarking on the coincidence of meeting them there. The woman points to the snack, asking what it is he's holding. Aaron explains to a skeptical Albert that he has started as a merchant. Aaron offers the woman and her maid a sample of his foreign snack. A chibi Albert is annoyed by Aaron's offer, calling it unnecessary. The two women accept the offer and take a bite of the snack. Their eyes sparkle with delight after tasting the delicious new confection. The maids excitedly ask to buy one, and Aaron thanks them for their purchase. The maids run off to tell their friends, promising to support Aaron's business. A flustered Aaron is suddenly surrounded by a crowd of eager customers. Aaron looks at his empty box, shocked that he has completely sold out. Aaron smiles at Albert, pleased with the positive reception from the women. Albert laments that Aaron could have become a millionaire with that product. Aaron thanks Albert for his advice and gives him the last piece of chocolate. Albert looks on with a serious expression, re-evaluating the newcomer. Albert watches Aaron walk away, thinking he might be more capable than he seems. Steam rises from a Japanese onsen with a view of a large mountain. Aaron relaxes in the hot spring, reflecting on his difficult life in Asfial. He smiles, feeling a sense of hope for the first time. Aaron recalls his successful sale, proving Japanese goods are popular in Asfial. He contemplates his next move, wondering what and how he should sell next. A wide shot shows the lively, bustling interior of a tavern in Asfial. Aaron takes a satisfying drink from a large wooden mug of ale. He lets out a happy sigh, enjoying the simple pleasures of this world. The sound of clanking armor echoes as the tavern falls silent. The tavern patrons turn to look as a new arrival enters the establishment. Aaron looks up from his drink, wondering why everyone has gone quiet. Kuroheim stands in the doorway, flanked by her all-female adventurer team. Aaron recognizes the famous Kurohime, realizing she is also from Japan. An illustration explains the concept of tenseisha, or reincarnators like Aaron. An illustration of Kurohime explains tenisha, or transferees from another world. A mage is shown, illustrating that otherworlders often have powerful abilities. Kurohime looks over her shoulder, her expression cool and unreadable. The bartender asks Aaron if he knows the beautiful woman who just entered. The legendary Twilight Moon Brigade is an all-female team led by the mighty Kurohime. Aaron watches them, noting their influence with nobles and feeling a healthy dose of fear. The bartender questions Aaron's early departure, finding it unusual for him to leave so soon. With a knowing smile, Aaron explains that some unexpected business has just come up. In a Japanese convenience store, he holds a shoujo manga, wondering about current trends. The young clerk, Kita, enthusiastically confirms its popularity, adding that he is a fan. Aaron thanks him, pretending he's out of touch with what's popular these days. He then asks about a women's fashion magazine, claiming it's for an acquaintance. Deciding this is what he needs, he resolves to purchase the magazine and more. Leaving the store with his new merchandise, he admits to himself that his excuse was a lie. He reflects that approaching the Black Princess directly would have been far too dangerous. Unlike him, she was suddenly transported here. Perhaps this gift from home will be a hit. He feels the pressure of the great expense, desperately hoping his risky gambit pays off. He arrives at the restaurant, only to find it has been reserved for a private party. Frustrated, he realizes this is a serious complication for his carefully laid plan. He heard they would be here, but the curtains are drawn and the entrance is closed. Waiting until closing would attract the city watch, but he might miss his only chance. Just as he is about to leave, a sharp voice suddenly calls out to him. A girl with twin tails, Aina, demands to know why he is loitering in front of the shop. He is startled by her sudden and confrontational appearance. Stuttering, he explains he has a delivery for the Black Princess, which only confuses Aina. He thrusts a large bag at her, insisting it's free and can be discarded if she wishes. Before she can properly react, he flees at an incredible speed, leaving her shocked. She is left standing alone, completely bewildered by the strange man's sudden appearance. With a sigh, she holds the mysterious package he abruptly left in her hands. Her companion, Calera, appears, asking about the luggage from the suspicious man outside. Aina hands the package to Calera, who wants to inspect its contents for safety. After a quick inspection of the strange delivery, Aina asks for her assessment. Calera determines it's not dangerous and suggests they should present it to their leader. Inside, Aina approaches their leader, Kurohime, and presents the mysterious package. Kurohime asks what it is, and Aina explains it's a delivery addressed to her. Aina relays the strange message, and Kurohime gives her silent permission to open it. They both look down as Kurohime unwraps the package, revealing what's inside. A fashion magazine and a shoujo manga are revealed, much to her initial confusion. Aina finds the items rare, but can't imagine why their leader would be interested. Suddenly, Kurohime slams the table with immense force, startling Aina completely. Her stoic composure shatters, replaced by an expression of pure, unfiltered emotion. A frantic flashback reveals her past, running for her life from a pursuing shrine maiden. She frantically wonders what is happening and where this terrifying dark place is. She had been waiting at school when suddenly the entire world around her twisted. Fear grips her as she is suddenly thrust into a terrifying and unknown reality. Fleeing through the dark forest, she tumbles over the edge of a steep cliff. A disembodied voice confirms her worst fear. This is meant to be her execution. The horrifying realization dawns on her, reflected in her wide, terrified eyes. She awakens to a kind couple, who are relieved to see she is finally conscious. Startled, she sits up abruptly, demanding to know who her mysterious rescuers are. They explain they run an inn and found her collapsed at the bottom of the cliff. The painful memory of her terrifying fall comes rushing back to her in a flash. She gratefully thanks the couple for saving her life, but they remain humble. The woman calls it a miracle she survived, referring to her as a divine child. Over a warm cup of tea, she asks for an explanation of what a divine child is. It is a messenger from another world, they explain, and her black hair is the proof. They believe she wields a special power, even if she herself is unaware of it. She clutches her arm, overwhelmed by how suddenly her entire world has changed. She sits alone in bed, trying to process the impossible situation she is now in. The kind woman advises her to rest first and worry about everything else later. With a quiet word of thanks, she takes a sip from the warm, comforting cup. After recovering, she thanks the kind couple for their hospitality and their care. The couple bids her farewell, wishing her safety on her uncertain new journey. And so, she set out on a journey, desperately seeking a way to return home. Her power drew allies to her, eventually forming the famed Twilight Moon Brigade. She feels blessed to have found companions who follow her without questioning her goal. She smiles, hoping that one day she can share the full truth of her past with them. The door to a quiet tavern swings open, announcing a new arrival. Aaron approaches the bar, and the bartender warmly welcomes him inside. He presents a folded letter, asking if the sender has arrived for their meeting. He sees Kurohime waiting in a corner and politely offers to buy her a drink. She accepts his offer, and the bartender leaves them to their private conversation. They sit together at the bar, a tense and expectant silence hanging between them. Aaron apologizes for his methods, explaining this is a necessary talk between compatriots. He asks if she is Japanese, she confirms, and he explains he is a reincarnator. In this world, she is Sayonji Aoi, and she is now 18 years old. He introduces himself as Aaron, 20 years old and currently without a formal job. She clarifies, asking for the name he had in his original world before this life. He pauses for a moment, recalling the name he left behind 2 decades ago. He was Shinju Masato, an ordinary man who died when he was 25. She apologizes for prying into such personal matters, but he assures her it is fine. She realizes the name means nothing to him, concluding their original eras must be different. She presses, asking if he might know her as a famous person, perhaps an idol. He confirms their eras are different. 20 years have passed since his own death. Aoi seems slightly disappointed by this revelation, but a new thought quickly occurs. She grabs him, asking if he can go to Japan, her voice trembling with hope. He explains only he can cross worlds, and her hope instantly turns to despair. He quickly clarifies that while she cannot go, he can bring items across worlds. He points out that this arrangement would still be incredibly useful for her. He watches her, seeing an opportunity to demonstrate the true value of his offer. Noticing her empty glass, he offers to get her another drink himself. He then pulls out a bottle of Japanese green tea with a charming smile. He pours the tea, unsure if it will suit her taste, and she quietly thanks him. He watches intently, asking for her opinion as she takes her first tentative sip. The familiar taste is a shock. It's completely different from the tea brewed here. A single tear falls from her eye as she whispers that it is incredibly delicious. He watches her emotional reaction with a look of deep empathy and understanding. Embarrassed by her display of emotion, she apologizes, but he quickly dismisses it. He admits he cried over soba noodles and offers to procure some for her if she wishes. She admits that while she longs to go home, this simple taste of it is precious. She sets her glass down, her mind now clear and focused on a new plan. She offers to become his sponsor if he will procure goods for her. He eagerly agrees. She reminds him of his precarious status and says she will write him a letter. Finally, she asks him one last important question. Is he any good with paperwork? The morning sun rises over the timber-framed house of the Twilight Moon Brigade. Aoi apologizes for the early summons, having someone important to introduce to them. She presents Aaron, who will be joining their brigade starting today. Aina points, shouting that he is the strange man from yesterday. As a member questions Aoi's seriousness, Aaron nervously accepts his awkward position. Kalera voices her doubt. She respects the leader but questions a man's role. Ao explains his literacy makes him perfect for handling their supplies and logistics. She then tasks a shocked Aina with overseeing the newcomers' training. Aina's cry of disbelief echoes, startling the birds outside into flight. In the storeroom, Clara asks Aaron how he managed to capture their leader's interest. She notes she's never seen their leader so lively, surprising even Aaron. She admits that she never saw this coming, studying the ledger. It is, after all, completely unprecedented for a man to join their brigade. Aina begrudgingly hands him the inventory list, admitting they needed the help. Aaron looks down at the long list, taking in his new responsibilities. He looks up with a question, wanting to confirm the details of his task. He asks in disbelief if she managed the chaotic storeroom all by herself. She explains only she and the leader are literate enough to handle the work. Clara arrives, telling him to go on a supply run while she checks inventory. She advises him not to tarnish the brigade's name, expecting a good deal. With a final glance, she warns him not to push himself too hard. She turns and walks away, leaving him to his first official task. Aaron walks through the bustling town square, list in hand. He reflects on the unexpected turn of events, sighing to himself. His plan was to sell to the brigade, not become a salaried employee. Now, he resolves to produce results and earn his place among them. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out his name from the crowd. The women from the market approach, asking if the rumor is true. They excitedly ask if he really joined the famous Twilight Moon Brigade. They playfully tease him about his relationship with the beautiful Kurohime. He tries to downplay the situation, but the women are swept up in excitement. They congratulate him on his debut and wish him the best of luck. The local shopkeeper offers him a special discount as a sign of support. Even Albert appears, clapping his back and encouraging him to work hard. He feels overwhelmed by the outpouring of goodwill from the local merchants. He hears more voices calling his name and turns to see who it is. He finds himself surrounded by a crowd of supportive local merchants. They all offer discounts and supplies, eager to help him succeed. The air fills with the happy cheers and encouragement of the community. Aina waits for his return, asking if his supply run was successful. He hands her the receipts, asking why she is peeking from the doorway. She takes the papers from him, stating that she will confirm the totals. As she scans the list, her expression sharpens with suspicion. She questions the total cost, and Aaron worries he went over budget. She accuses him of trickery, as the total is a full 20% lower. He explains his new connections secured him a favorable price. She stares at him, processing his explanation with a skeptical look. He sighs, admitting he didn't intend for things to go this way. She turns to walk away, pausing for a final word. Looking back with a tiny smile, she grants him a small bit of approval. Aaron steps through the shimmering moon gate, returning to his other life. He arrives back in Japan, feeling a sense of peace and calm. He looks at the letter entrusted to him by Aoi, his next mission. He wonders if this letter, addressed to Saionji Roken, will truly work. Back in Asfial, the Twilight Moon Brigade travels onward by horse and wagon. Aaron looks out from the wagon, his expression focused on the road ahead. In the distance, the magnificent royal capital comes into view. He announces their long journey is over. This city is their new base. Aoi instructs everyone to find their rooms in the new team house. The brigade members respond with a unified and energetic yes. Aoi pulls Aaron aside, asking him to run an errand for her in Japan. He asks if she needs him to procure something, but she denies it. She cryptically tells him he'll understand when he gets there. Aaron muses that she must be very eager for the next manga volume. He arrives in Japan to find the quiet village filled with black cars. He is stunned by the unexpected and ominous scene before him. A man in a sharp suit speaks quietly into a phone near a car. The elderly woman's grandson, Kagoshima, hurries over to greet him. Aaron asks about the men, and Kagoshima identifies them as the Saionji group. He explains they have been searching for Aaron for an entire week. Kagoshima offers to ask them what is going on, having befriended them. Aaron wonders just who these Saionji people could possibly be. A voice calls out to him as a car door opens nearby. A professional-looking woman with reddish-brown hair looks at him intently. She asks if he is, by chance, the one named Aaron. With a slight smile, she instructs him to get into her car. Inside the car, she flicks open a lighter and lights a cigarette. She complains about how difficult he was to find in this remote place. After he apologizes, she tells him her name is Kamaki Akira. He realizes this must all be because of the letter from Saionji. She confirms his suspicion, realizing he knows about the young mistress. She speaks into a hidden device, reporting that the target is secured. She turns to Aaron, warning him to behave himself like an adult. She forcefully crushes her cigarette in an ashtray to emphasize her point. She adds that he'd surely prefer to return with all his limbs intact. The car speeds along a highway, leaving the countryside for the city. As they drive, Aaron asks Akira to explain what the Saionji group is. She seems surprised by his ignorance, but he confirms he knows little. She explains they are a massive corporation, best understood as a financial clan. The Sayonji are an old, wealthy family that Aoi's father modernized. She explains that her family has served them for generations. Her eyes narrow as she recalls a painful memory from the past. It happened 3 years ago, when she began working for the main household. In a flashback, Aoi happily declares that Akira's tea is the very best. A younger Akira blushes, happy to have pleased her mistress. Aoi gently teases her, saying she doesn't need to be so formal. Aoi excitedly asks if she recorded the anime they plan to watch. She asks with sparkling eyes if Akira will stay over to watch it. Akira smiles warmly, agreeing to her beloved mistress's request. But their happy moment is shattered by a frantic maid bursting in. In a sunlit room, a maid named Akira notes the unusual commotion outside. Another maid bursts in, frantically announcing that Lady Aoi has vanished. The peaceful moment shatters. Her disappearance was sudden and inexplicable. Panic erupts as Akira runs, hearing shouts about failed security and disbelief. Her composure cracking, Akira demands to see the security footage immediately. The recording shows Aoi standing peacefully alone in the estate garden. In a flicker of static, Aoi disappears from the screen completely. In the security room, a guard whispers in shock that she has vanished. Years later, Akira tells Eren the global search for Aoi continues. She reveals that he is the first and only lead they have ever found. Getting out of the car, Akira apologizes for her earlier deceptive actions. Before a modern building, she declares it is now his turn to talk. Eren marvels at the building, surprised it exists near the quiet village. Akira knocks, announcing their arrival to the chairman, Sayonji Rugen. They enter a vast office where a man gazes out at the city. The powerful man turns, confirming that he is speaking with Eren. Rugen remarks that Eren is just as his daughter described in her letter. Eren feels an immense, almost suffocating pressure from the man's presence. A cold sweat breaks out on his brow from the man's palpable aura. He recoils slightly, wondering if all corporate titans are this intense. Rugen suddenly claps his hands, the sharp sound startling Eren. Eren explains the letter is in a family cipher, making it impossible to fake. Rugen understands this means his daughter is alive and trusts Eren. He asks how Eren was found. Akira explains they traced the postmark. Rugen turns away, remarking how truly surprising the situation is. He recalls how Aoi vanished 3 years ago, as if spirited away. At his lowest point, a handwritten letter from her had arrived. In it, she pleaded for a collaborator who could lend her a hand. He faces Eren directly, asking him to share everything that he knows. Eren cautiously asks about surveillance. Rugen assures him the room is secure. Deciding to show rather than tell, Eren summons a soft, magical light. Akira and a guard instantly draw their weapons, shouting Rugen's name. Rugen calmly raises a hand, ordering his security to stand down. A shimmering rectangular portal materializes, shocking everyone into silence. Eren explains that this ethereal gate is a manifestation of his power. He tells them it connects to another world, where Aoi is now. Rugen and Akira stare in utter astonishment at the impossible sight. He asks about the gate's rules. Eren says no other living beings can cross. Intrigued, Rugen asks if he can touch it. Eren assures him it is safe. Rugen cautiously steps forward, passing his hand through the glowing light. His hand disappears into the portal as if it were passing through water. He asks what Aoi does there. Eren says she leads an adventurer team. Rugen admits that while it's unbelievable, seeing it makes it undeniable. Akira questions his trust, but Rugen says it feels like a fairy tale. He tells Eren he has a request to verify the incredible story. He hands Eren a smartphone, asking for a photo of Aoi as proof. Eren, unfamiliar with the device, asks how it works. As Eren prepares to leave, Rugen calls out his name one last time. He smiles, saying he doesn't know Aren's true motives. But he acknowledges the letter is real, an undeniable fact. He sincerely thanks Eren, asking him to give Aoi his regards. They shake hands, sealing their new otherworldly alliance. Back in Asfial, Aoi sips tea, confirming he met her father. Eren admits he never expected to be summoned all that way. He complains that her family's methods were a bit over the top. He explains her father gave him a smartphone to get a photo for proof. Aoi asks to borrow the device for a moment, and Eren agrees. She handles the phone with an expert familiarity that Eren notices. He realizes the video she watches is proof her world still exists. He muses on how impressive the image quality of modern phones is. On screen, Rugen smiles gently, looking just as she remembers him. Aoi clutches the phone, a tearful, happy blush on her face. Eren smiles, admitting to himself that his staring was a bit rude. Aina appears in the doorway, wondering where Eren has gone. Seeing the others gathered, she remarks on the perfect timing. Eren seizes the chance, asking if everyone wants to use the smartphone. He calls them over for a group photo, much to Aina's confusion. Aina pulls a slightly reluctant Ioi into the center of the group. Aaron holds up the phone, beginning his countdown for the picture. The camera flash captures the bright, smiling faces of the entire brigade. Later, Aaron asks Aina if she has gotten used to the brigade. She replies that she must adapt to their new base of operations. He suggests a trip to the Royal Capital Festival to unwind. He describes it as a huge weekly market with merchants from everywhere. He thinks it would be a good way for them to relax. Aina turns to him, saying she has something important to ask. Aaron asks her if just anyone can open a stall at the festival. He sits at his desk sighing as he considers his next move. He has the application form but is stumped on what he should sell. The door to the room clicks open as someone enters. The sound of the door latch echoes in the quiet room. Shamil, Luca, and Lazuli enter, cheerfully asking what he is doing. Startled, Aaron jumps up, fumbling to hide the form as he tries to leave. The women watch him, wondering why he seems so unsettled. He quickly reassures them that he harbors no strange intentions. Lazuli says they are actually quite welcoming, despite early impressions. Luca adds that they are grateful, as their leader seems happier lately. Lazuli says anyone who can contribute is welcome in the brigade. Shamil brightly compares him to a father figure, making Aaron wince. He feels conflicted, wondering if he should accept the odd compliment. Luca asks what he was doing. He explains his plan for a festival stall. The women are surprised to hear he is opening his own shop. Shamil is excited, asking what interesting things he plans to sell. He explains he's targeting nobles, but lacks any high-end products. The three women fall into thought, pondering what nobles might desire. Suddenly, Shamil's eyes light up with a brilliant idea. She dashes over to a nearby bookshelf, leaving Aaron confused. She returns holding a book, asking what he thinks of this one. She explains it's the shoujo manga their leader recommended to them. Luca eagerly agrees, wondering how Aaron is able to read Japanese. Aaron considered selling entertainment items to the nobles, but procuring books, he noted, would be difficult to do. Seeing his friends' disappointed faces, he quickly relented. He agreed to stock just a few books for them. The girls erupted in cheers, promising to visit his stall. The scene shifts to the sprawling, modern metropolis of Tokyo. An elevator ascends, the digital display climbing to the 50th floor. Aaron worried if Chairman Rugen had believed his incredible story. As the doors slid open, a familiar voice greeted him. It was Akira, now dressed in an immaculate attendance uniform. She formally introduced herself as his new personal liaison. Akira turned to lead him, but Aaron was still in shock. She turned back, surprised by his stunned silence. Inside a luxurious office, Aaron began to apologize for his reaction. He admitted he was just startled by her sudden change in role. Akira informed him that their previous informalities were now over. But, she said, his genuine surprise had earned her trust. She confirmed Chairman Reigen was pleased and no longer had any doubts. With trust established, Akira presented the promised support. First were official documents, giving him a legal identity in Japan. Then the keys to a company apartment with servants and a PC. Next, she handed him a black card with an unlimited spending limit. Finally, she presented a bank book with a balance of 100 million yen. Aaron was so shocked by the number that he froze completely. Coming to his senses, he stammered that this was far too much. Akira calmly explained that this support came with two conditions. The first was his full cooperation in their research of the gate. The second, and most crucial, was providing maximum support to Aoi. Leaning in with an intense smile, she asked if he would cooperate. Flustered, Aaron could only agree to her terms. Akira declared she would now handle his protection and assistance. Aaron immediately had a request for his new assistant. He asked for her help with his next business venture. Soon they were walking the busy streets of modern Tokyo. He explained that he needed her help choosing items for his stall. He told her he wanted to build personal connections in the capital. Akira questioned why he wouldn't use the Saionji Group's vast resources. Aaron declared his dream was to get rich through his own efforts. A look of respect crossed her face. She was relieved by his earnestness. She then asked what exactly he planned to procure for his stall. In a hobby shop, Aaron pointed to a wall of trading cards. He explained that people in Asfial were starved for new entertainment. The nobles' games were simple, like chess and playing cards. He believed these complex, beautiful cards would be a huge hit. Akira remembered the Saionji Group's diverse business portfolio. She revealed they had a subsidiary that handles trading cards. On the phone, she ordered a warehouse full of cards to be prepared. This was only a trial run, Aaron assured her. As they left the shop, he thanked her for the incredible help. He said he could find sweets and books on his own. But Akira insisted, stating that protecting him protected Aoi. Reluctantly, Aaron accepted her continued assistance. He was completely overwhelmed upon entering a massive media store. The thin TVs and modern technology still felt alien to him. He realized how much the world had advanced since his time. Suddenly, his eyes were drawn to a promotional screen. He recognized the art style of the anime being advertised. It was the animated version of the shoujo manga Aoi loved. He turned to tell Akira, but she had fallen silent. She looked at the screen, a painful memory surfacing. She recalled how she and Aoi never got to watch it together. Eren quickly apologized for bringing up a sad memory. Akira reassured him that her duty was to serve Aoi in all things. This was simply how things were for an attendant. She accepted her role with quiet, professional resolve. She asked him to pass on any items he procured for Aoi. She then began musing about the efficiency of using a tablet. In that moment, her focused intensity reminded him of Aoi. Back in Asfial, the brigade's headquarters was bustling. Calera ran up to him, waving a piece of parchment. His permit for the festival stall had finally arrived. He thanked her, relieved that the application was approved. She then asked about the large shipment of goods he ordered. Elsewhere, the other girls prayed for his stall to have leftovers. They were desperate to get their hands on the next manga volume. Calera asked where his stall would be, and he told her the address. She was shocked. It was a prime location near the Central District. Eren then recalled a rumor he had heard about the festival. The Central District was walled off, home to the great nobles. But some, it was said, would sneak out in disguise to browse the stalls. The rumor was likely just that, but it was a tantalizing possibility. Eren gave a small, knowing smile, not confirming her suspicion. Calera realized his choice of location was a calculated gamble. She laughed, impressed by his audacity and cleverness. He was, she decided, a truly interesting person. Eren felt as though he was being both praised and teased. Waving goodbye, Calera said she was looking forward to the day. He watched her go, feeling a bit outplayed but resolute. With all his preparations complete, all he could do now was wait. Whatever happened, he would simply have to let things unfold. The day of the festival began with fireworks over the capital. The streets were already a vibrant sea of merchants and customers. Eren finished setting up his modest stall with a sense of purpose. The Royal Capital Festival, he thought with a smile, had begun. He had books for his friends, but his main products were the chocolates. He surveyed the bustling street, observing the early morning crowd. It was clear from their fine clothes that this was a high-class area. The festival was already busier than he had expected. He felt confident his unique goods could compete with the other stalls. All he needed now was a chance to capture their attention. The sun beat down on Aren's lonely festival stall. Hours passed and a small bird came to rest on the awning. He dozed off, a bird in his hair, lamenting that no one had come. He noticed other stalls were busy, feeling like his was being deliberately ignored. He wondered if his goods were too strange, or if he just lacked sales skills. Suddenly, a familiar voice called out to him. It was Albert, who asked why he looked so unhappy. Eren was surprised to see him. Albert asked what he was doing in the capital. Eren said he was checking out the festival. Albert wryly noted that for a merchant, Eren wasn't doing well at all. Seeing his friend's plight, Albert offered to give him some advice. He explained that selling unknown food is hard, and offering samples would be best. He suggested targeting the middle-class crowd next time, since the festival is weekly. Eren felt deflated, realizing he still had much to learn. Albert told him to close for now and get ready for the afternoon session. He reminded Eren that product quality and customer trust are paramount in business. Eren protested his lack of persuasiveness, but Albert dismissed the excuse. Albert said his goodbyes and Eren thanked him for all the help. Just as he was leaving, Albert stopped with one last thought. He suggested that Eren might find something here beyond his original goal. Time continued to drag on at the empty stall. Eren yawned, noting a few people had finally come, but his enthusiasm was gone. He decided to close up before dark, just before his friends were due to arrive. He sighed, pondering his grand dream of becoming wealthy through his own hard work. From nearby, a voice wondered aloud if that person was over there. Eren looked up, confused as to who they could be talking about. A young, impeccably dressed boy appeared, flanked by imposing armored guards. Eren could tell immediately that this was no ordinary person. The boy patted his head, calling him a hound of the Marquis Castellano. He explained he was on an inspection tour and urged his guards to hurry. Eren realized the rumors were true and steeled himself for the encounter. The boy Ray formally asked him what kind of stall this was. Eren explained that he sold the world's rarest sweets and entertainment goods. Ray asked if the sweets were these chocolates. Eren offered a sample. A guard warned Ray not to eat a commoner's food, but Ray waved off the concern. The guards were aghast at their master's decision. Eren offered a quick apology. Ray asked for details, so Eren explained the ingredients of chocolate. He carefully demonstrated how to hold the candy by its wrapper to avoid melting it. Ray brought the chocolate to his lips and took a small, curious bite. His eyes widened in shock. He wondered if the flavor was too strong. He chewed thoughtfully while his guards watched him with bated breath. Aaron waited, confused and anxious about the silent reaction. Suddenly, Ray's face lit up as he declared that it was absolutely incredible. His guard gently reminded him that it is rude to speak while eating. Aaron was relieved he liked it. Ray then asked if the box was for sale. Ray was surprised that 30,000 gold was so cheap. Aaron said it was an introductory price. Delighted, Ray announced that he wanted to purchase the entire stock. Aaron was completely stunned as he accepted the heavy bags of gold. He noted the payment was too much, but Ray told him not to worry about it. Ray then asked about the other goods. Aaron showed him a jar of confeito. Ray was intrigued and wanted those too, along with the caramel candies Aaron presented. He decided on the spot to buy this, that, and that one over there as well. In less than 5 minutes, Aaron's entire stock of sweets was completely sold out. Ray cheerfully remarked that he was shopping just like a commoner. His eyes then fell on some paper bags and he asked what they were. Aaron explained they were trading cards for a battle game with rules in the book. Without hesitation, Ray declared that he would buy all of those too. Aaron felt a complex mix of gratitude and disbelief at the easy sale. Ray opened a pack and examined one of the cards, admiring the beautiful art. He continued to study the intricate illustration on the card. His guards were impressed, and Ray remarked that the card's texture was very pleasant. In a flash, the shelves of Aaron's stall were completely bare. Ray thanked Aaron sincerely for a wonderful and meaningful time. Before leaving, Ray asked for his name. Aaron formally introduced himself. Ray then pressed a small, ornate medal into Aaron's gloved hand. He said he looked forward to seeing him again and waved goodbye. Aaron was left reeling from the amazing, mind-boggling experience. He looked down at the object that had been placed in his palm. He stared at the strange medal, wondering what on earth it could be. A sudden shout of his name startled him from his thoughts. It was Shamil apologizing for being late and shocked that he was sold out. Another brigade member looked into an empty crate, confirming it was all gone. The girls lamented that they had rushed over, hoping to read the manga sequel. Aaron smiled, remembering his promise, and produced the third volume for them. Their faces lit up with pure, unadulterated joy at the sight of the book. They told him he should have said something sooner. He urged them to read it quickly. He laughed, suggesting they could all discuss it with Aoi when they returned. That night, under a peaceful moon, the day's excitement finally settled. Aaron sat at his desk, diligently writing in his ledger with a quill. Aoi entered his room, remarking on how hard he was working so late. She approached his desk, speaking her own family name, Sayonji. He said he was just updating his accounts. She asked about the manga and left to get water. When she returned, she asked if he had encountered any problems at the festival. He admitted it was complicated, but said he would give a full report later. He paused for a moment, his expression becoming serious. He confessed to her that he was feeling a strange sense of dissonance. He had started this for himself, but being thanked by so many felt unsettling. Aoi listened intently, her expression unreadable. She placed a small box on the table, telling him it was a token of her gratitude. Flustered, Aaron protested that she must not have been listening to him at all. He hesitantly opened the small velvet-lined box. Inside, he was surprised to find a beautiful necklace. He held it up, watching the crystal shimmer with an iridescent rainbow light. He quietly marveled at how stunningly beautiful it was. Aoi explained it was a rare hope stone, used as a catalyst for magic. She told him his motives didn't matter, since he had reconnected her with her family. He laughed nervously and she looked at him intently, asking what was so funny. He apologized, saying her father had said something very similar. I called his name softly, her tone shifting. She asked him to please continue looking after her father and her attendant, Akira. He promised her that he would do everything within his power to help them. Aoi clutches the necklace Aaron gave her, whispering thanks and promising to treasure it. The sound of rhythmic footsteps echoes through a grand, vaulted hallway. A close-up reveals a pair of polished black shoes walking purposefully. The young noble, Ray, appears, asking Aaron if he has snuck out to town again. Ray smiles brightly, telling him not to worry, as he brought a souvenir. With a cheerful wave, he says goodbye and promises to see Aaron tomorrow. Aaron is left alone in the hall, staring at the bar of chocolate. Later, in a quiet courtyard, he flips a small, gleaming medal in the air. He sits on a bench, studying the object with a thoughtful expression. He mutters to himself, wondering if it could be a Pramika medal. A bright voice calls out a cheerful, "Good morning," interrupting his thoughts. It's Shamil, asking if his training is over, but he says he's on a break. She eagerly asks to see the medal, and her eyes go wide with recognition. She asks incredulously how he could possibly not know what it is. Just then, another voice calls out to Aronson from nearby. The elegant Lazuli approaches, inviting them all to join her for tea. The girls excitedly agree, eager to discuss the mysterious medal further. On the table is a tray of assorted cookies, eliciting a cry of delight. Lazuli clarifies that these are the cookies Aaron brought for them. The girls marvel at the unique animal shapes, especially the cat faces. They all agree the treats are almost too cute to eat, enjoying the moment. The group is gathered happily around the tea table, chatting away. Aaron quietly sips his tea, feeling a little out of place. Lazuli asks about the festival, having heard it was a great success. He clarifies that just one person bought everything, stunning the others. He explains that the medal he's holding came from that very person. Shamil excitedly insists that his story is true, much to his embarrassment. Kalera asks to see the medal, and Aaron hesitantly shows it to her. She examines the two coins, identifying them as gold and silver Pramika medals. Aaron finally asks what a Pramika medal actually is, admitting his ignorance. Kalera shows them a similar medal on her glove, used for dungeon access. She explains they are hard to get guild passes, especially a gold one. Lazuli recalls that Shamil also has a silver one for the school district. Shamil explains the system. A silver medal grants access to one school. The group realizes this means Aaron can enter the prestigious Infale Magic Academy. Shamil guesses the gold one must be for the even more exclusive Central District. Aaron understands now. Ray's parting words were a formal invitation. He feels a wave of anxiety at the thought of meeting the Marquis's son alone. Lazuli suggests Shamil, a graduate, could be his guide through the vast district. Shamil proudly agrees, eager to repay him for the shoujo manga. Aaron thanks her, relieved to have a guide for the intimidating visit. The next day, they stand on a hill overlooking the sprawling school district. Shamil explains it's the largest district, home to many research facilities. Aaron sighs with relief, admitting he would have gotten lost without her. Shamil asks about the cold souvenir he's carrying, telling him to hurry. She points ahead, saying the checkpoint to enter is just this way. They approach a guarded checkpoint where people are being inspected. An armored guard checks their medals before granting them entry. They walk across a grand bridge, taking in the district's impressive scale. Shamil strides ahead excitedly while Aaron follows with his bag. Aaron comments that it feels like he has stepped into a different world. He asks about a massive cathedral, which Shamil identifies as a religious school. She explains they teach healing and holy magic, which requires special training. She then reveals that their own vice captain Nana is a graduate. In fact, Nana's fame rivals Aoi's due to her rare magical abilities. Aaron realizes he hasn't spoken much to the vice captains, as they're always busy. Shamil says Nana is just shy around men, but is a good person. He then turns the question to her, asking which school she attended. She says she went to Ryosale, a normal magic school for commoners. She explains the world's hierarchy. Magic power determines social status. Aaron understands now, it's a world built on the supremacy of magic. This system, she says, is how the Kainley's kingdom became so powerful. Aaron finds the topic uninteresting, a world unrelated to common people. Shamil suddenly points ahead, telling him to look, her voice full of excitement. Before them stands the magnificent palace-like Infale Magic Academy. Aaron is overwhelmed by the sheer size, comparing it to a castle. At the gate, he asks an armored guard if entry is possible with his medal. The guard confirms it is and asks Aaron to present his right hand. He places a gloved hand on Aaron's wrist and a device clicks shut. Aaron asks what that was. The guard explains it's a security measure. Shamil warns him to be careful, as the guards will come if he causes trouble. Inside, she marvels at how different the campus is from her own school. She points out the famous Lions dormitory, home to generations of royalty. She then asks Aaron who it is they have come to meet. He tells her it's Ray Castellano, and she stops dead in her tracks. Her face pales as she asks him to please repeat the name. He confirms it is Ray Castellano, son of the Marquis. Shamil's expression freezes in a state of pure shock. She suddenly turns and bolts, running away in a blind panic. Aaron quickly lunges forward and grabs her wrist, stopping her escape. She struggles, demanding to know why he is involved with the great nobility. She panics, saying a commoner like her could be killed for disrespect. She cries out in despair, feeling that she has been deceived. Her face is a mask of terror and profound distress. Aaron tries to reassure her, explaining the situation and telling her to calm down. He points out she can't leave anyway since she doesn't have a medal. Shamil despairs, thinking she can't possibly meet the Marquis's son. They are led up a grand, ornate staircase inside the dormitory. A well-dressed butler greets them, welcoming Aran-sama to the residence. The butler informs them that Rei-sama will be with them shortly. They are left alone in a waiting room, Shamil frozen with fear. Aran asks if she's all right, noting how pale she looks. She insists that she is fine, though her trembling betrays her fear. Suddenly, her soul seems to float right out of her mouth. Aran panics, asking if she's really okay, as her soul is leaving. The sound of a door opening makes them both jump in surprise. Two guards stand aside as a figure enters the room. Rei appears, greeting Aran warmly, saying it's been a while. Aran bows formally, but Rei tells him to relax as he was invited. Rei's gaze then shifts, landing on the terrified Shamil. Aran and his companion enter the grand room, Aran glancing back cautiously. The imperious girl asks who Shamil is, while Aran looks on nervously. Aran, flustered, offers the disastrous explanation that she is his friend. He immediately breaks into a cold sweat, realizing his grave error. Shamil stands frozen, her face a silent mask of pure, unadulterated terror. Aran internally panics, wondering what he did wrong as they stare him down. He silently begs the petrified Shamil for a lifeline she cannot provide. Rei smoothly intervenes, gesturing towards a new arrival and asking what it is. He explains that he has prepared a special suite just for this meeting. A butler enters with a tray as Rei claps his hands in anticipation. Shamil is briefly stunned by how quickly the elegant dessert was prepared. Aran asks if the tart needs slicing, but Rei assures him it is fine. A magnificent fruit tart, piled high with glistening fruit, is presented. Shamil thinks it looks like a jewel. Rei is pleased she likes his recommendation. Chris glances at Shami, thinking to herself that the other girl seems useless. She coldly tells them to eat while it's cold, addressing Shamil pointedly. Shamil's tiny soul floats away as she whispers that she is now dead. Rei notes that they have forgotten to properly introduce themselves to one another. He introduces himself as Rei Castellano, a first-year student at the academy. A small chibi Rei is delighted that his recommended suite was a success. He then gestures to the girl beside him, introducing his cousin, Chrissy Lesa. Rei asks Chris why she is being so harsh, but she tells him to be quiet. She dismisses his question, claiming Aran's name is a lie and he has another. A confused Aran asks her what she could possibly mean by another name. Chris explains that commoners have one name, while nobles like her have two. Aran is shocked when she hints that there is even more to her name. She makes her grand declaration. She is Chrysalesa Caneleys, a princess. Aran's mind explodes with the realization that she is actual royalty. He stares, his face a perfect picture of disbelief and shock. Rei smiles, confirming she is the second princess, wondering why she is here. He explains her father married into the royal family from the Castellano house. Aran realizes she has a claim to the throne. Rei asks if he knows why. Rei reveals it is because she is an awakened, with power surpassing kings. He explains that great power can manifest in anyone, even a commoner. He holds up a piece of fruit, smiling as he says, "Someone like you." Aran is completely frozen, the implication of Rei's words hitting him hard. Rei muses that the church calls them divine children, but questions the reality. He admits the awakened are different, which is why he insisted they meet. Aran finally understands. The entire meeting has been an elaborate test. He realizes that if the princess is a reincarnator, his existence is dangerous. He glances at Rei, wondering how to navigate this situation with the nobility. Chris dismisses the idea of being special, saying the suspicion must trouble him. Rei looks on thoughtfully, about to add another piece to the puzzle. Chris asks what it matters, since reincarnators are few and weak as children. She looks at Aran, her expression unreadable after her cutting assessment. Aran silently listens, absorbing the weight of her words. He closes his eyes and concedes that everything she has said is true. A simplified Rei apologizes for scaring him. A flustered Aran denies it. Aran thinks to himself that neither of these two acts like a child. He sits up straight as Rei announces he has one more topic to discuss. Rei proposes that Aran become his regular supplier for sweets and other goods. In exchange for his services, Rei offers his full support for Aran's brigade. Aran accepts, but says he must confirm with his leader first. Rei agrees, telling Aran to give his regards to the leader as they depart. As they leave, Aran turns to check on the wobbly, exhausted Shamili. Shamil says she needs some air. Aran worriedly asks if she is all right. Later, Aran returns to the now empty room to find Chris waiting for him. She stands and turns to him, stating that she wished to speak with him. Aran approaches, saying he also wanted a chance to talk with the princess. A heavy, awkward silence falls between them in the ornate room. Aran sweats, finding the intensity of a private audience with a princess overwhelming. Chris makes a very strange request, asking if she can brush his bangs aside. Confused but compliant, Aaron lifts the hair from his forehead for her. He stares in bewilderment as the princess lets out a sudden, sharp gasp. His mind is a swirling galaxy of pure, unadulterated confusion. "One more time," she demands, her regal composure completely shattered. She blushes furiously, realizing he is the spitting image of her beloved Hakuba-kun. She strikes a pose, declaring that Hakuba-kun from One-Sti is her favorite idol. Aaron asks if he just resembles him, but she insists he is a reincarnation. She excitedly lists all the uncanny similarities between Aaron and the idol. She collapses under a spotlight, beginning a dramatic monologue about her long journey. Her story, she explains, began several years ago in her past life. The scene flashes back to a modern university building in Japan. Her past self, Yui, proudly shows off a bag covered in idol merchandise. Yui sees a new in-game event and laments her lack of funds to participate. In the university cafeteria, a friend calls out to Yui. The friend jokes that Yui never changes, always prioritizing her hobby. Another friend worries about her meager lunch, eaten only to save money. The kind friend offers her a piece of fried chicken, which Yui happily accepts. The flashback ends, returning to the present as Chris's expression turns serious. She explains she gained everything in this life in exchange for her idol. She cries, explaining how painful it was to only have him in her heart. Aaron awkwardly tries to comfort her, saying she must have had it rough. Her tears vanish as she whispers menacingly that it is all fine now. She advances on Aaron, her determined footsteps echoing in the silent room. She declares their meeting is fate, ignoring Aaron's protests that he isn't him. She closes the distance between them, preparing to make her move. With a sudden lunge, she tackles him clean over the back of a sofa. Aaron lets out a groan of pain from the hard, unexpected landing. He looks up in shock as the princess looms over his prone form. Her eyes swirl hypnotically as she purrs for him to hold still. Aaron panics, realizing that a very strange switch has been flipped in her. He pleads with her to stop, but she dismisses his worries as easily fixable. He struggles against her grip, amazed by her inexplicable strength. He silently screams for help, but she cheerfully reminds him the room is soundproof. She easily pins his arms above his head, completely immobilizing him. She grins, declaring that she has done her homework and is fully prepared. She tells him to stop resisting and start counting the stains on the ceiling. Aaron squeezes his eyes shut, bracing himself for whatever is to come. The doors burst open, revealing Shamil, staring at the scene in absolute horror. The princess had Aaron pinned, telling him to stop struggling. The shocking sight caused Shamil to faint dead away. With a loud thud, Shamil collapsed onto the floor. Mortified, Princess Chris bowed low, offering a sincere apology. She explained that her reason vanishes before her idol. Aaron felt grateful to Shamil for her timely interruption. The princess insisted he drop the formalities with her. Aaron asked if she was reincarnated or transferred here. She believed her case was one of possession, confusing Aaron. Only the consciousness of her former self traveled here. Her memories and personality then synchronized with Princess Chris. He asked if she had two personalities, but she explained they merged. Thus, the kingdom's most powerful otaku girl was born. Aaron admitted this was a new pattern he'd never encountered. Her royal status made her feel isolated and misunderstood. He realized that in 20 years he'd never met an awakened. She offhandedly mentioned something about Aoi's family name. The familiar name caught Aaron completely by surprise. Princess Chris stood, bringing their long conversation to a close. She proposed an alliance and he readily agreed. With a bright smile, she sealed their promise, calling him Hakuba-kun. She fumbled, asking his name again. He said Aaron was fine. With their business concluded, they prepared to leave the academy. Shamil finally began to stir, her eyes fluttering open. On Aaron's back, she groggily asked where they were. He asked if she was feeling unwell, but she insisted she was fine. She tried to remember what happened after meeting the royals. Suddenly, she remembered the scene and panicked about the assault. He calmly told her she had simply fainted after they left. Unsure, she concluded it must have been a strange dream. Aaron lied, saying he never intended for her to faint. As an apology, he offered her the next manga volume. Overjoyed, she instantly forgave him and pulled his hair playfully. She began reading, threatening to faint if he made her walk. Resigned to his fate, Aaron let out a small sigh. He muttered that since she saved him, this was a small price to pay. Back at headquarters, he yawned, reflecting on the recent peace. Cholera appeared, informing him that the leader was summoning him. He opened the door, a sense of foreboding washing over him. Aoi sat with a stern expression, demanding to know what he'd done. Confused, he looked down at the letter she presented. It was an official document bearing the names of Chris and Ray. He explained it was a letter of support from the royals. Oi let out a deep, exasperated sigh. She stated his actions had ruined her plans, worrying him. But she clarified that, on the contrary, she was grateful. He asked how she knew he'd halted their adventuring activities. She explained they lacked the credibility needed to operate in the capital. He was surprised this was an issue for their skilled brigade. She explained the prejudice they faced for being all women. She admitted she had yet to meet any respectable nobles. She recalled a nobleman offering his support for a price. He asked what he would get in return for his patronage. He leered, saying he wasn't interested in their money. Iwe was confused by his vague, unsettling proposition. He offered patronage if she or her members became his mistress. Rafine, enraged by the insult, cried out his name. She told him to forget this conversation ever happened. Iwe coldly stated she wouldn't sell herself or her friends. As they left, he scoffed at the cheeky women. Oy seethed with quiet, controlled fury from the insult. Aaron grimaced, remarking on the awful encounter. She had never been so blatantly disrespected before. He asked if it was common, and she confirmed it was. She clenched her fist, muttering, "That's just what men are." He realized this prejudice was why the brigade was all female. Unsure what to say, he stood in awkward silence. She apologized for complaining, especially with him there. Claire identified the man as Alex Byrne, a merchant chairman. He wasn't a true noble, but had bought his way in. Aoi warned him to be careful, and he took note. The day's stressful events gave way to a quiet evening. Aoi was now buried under a mountain of paperwork. Aaron was also diligently working through the new tasks. Just as she wondered about the work, Aina burst in. Aina announced that a large crowd was waiting outside. They were all there to see Aaron, much to his surprise. Merchants had heard of his royal backing and flocked to him. Aina couldn't believe he had such powerful connections. Aoi told Aina to just listen to their proposals for now. Aina warned Aaron he would have to explain everything later. The door slammed, leaving Aaron stunned by the sudden chaos. Aoi mused on how Princess Chris's interest had changed things. At this rate, their adventuring foundation would soon be solid. He asked for their next move, suggesting he become their merchant. His ideal plan involved cutting out the guild's middleman fees. Aoi agreed, but said they lacked the manpower for now. She tasked him with finding people despite his other duties. Aoi admitted she was happy to be so busy again. She called his name, her expression becoming thoughtful. She recalled his comment about being thanked for selfish acts. For her, adventuring had been a means to an end. But now she would prioritize the people right in front of her. He understood it was for the brigade that followed her. She asked him to assist Aina, and he readily agreed. Meanwhile, Aina let out a long, exhausted sigh. The constant stream of visitors was wearing her down. She grumbled that no one explained the complex details to her. Calera announced they could now hold regular meetings. The squad leaders would now report their progress each month. Aina, shouldering a large pack, admits to Aaron that this is her first time attending such a formal meeting. She explains that since she was the only one in the supply unit, she was previously exempt from reporting. Aaron kindly offers to prepare all the necessary financial documents for her, which leaves Aina completely stunned. She remembers hearing that his calculations are known for being remarkably precise and accurate. He gives a vague, slightly evasive smile, brushing off the compliment. He then admits that he doesn't actually do all the complex calculations by himself, but gets help from others. Aina reluctantly agrees to his offer, telling him she will leave it in his hands. Alone in the hallway with a stack of ledgers, Aaron stands before the door to his private room. He swings the door open with a flourish, announcing that it's time to get to work. A close-up shows his gloved fingers tapping away at the keys of a modern computer keyboard. Seated comfortably in his modern apartment, Aaron smiles, enjoying the efficiency of technology. He thinks to himself that the tools of modern civilization are truly a blessing. He muses that half of his supposed skill is really just thanks to the power of spreadsheet software. As he scans the numbers, his eyes land on one particular line item that seems unusually expensive. He quickly identifies the issue. The maintenance costs for their emergency supply of potions are too high. The thought of potions and their associated costs sticks in his mind as a problem to be solved. A view of a modern Japanese city illustrates that his trips are also for research cooperation. He provides materials from Asfiel, like herbs and crystals, for analysis in Japan. Holding his smartphone, he decides it's time to ask about the progress on the herbs and potions. As he speaks to Akira on the phone, she suddenly appears right behind him with a sharp click. He jumps in shock, stammering as he asks when and how she arrived so silently. A nervous sweat breaks out as he wonders if he's being constantly monitored. The scene transitions, taking them through a lush, tree-lined area in Japan. They arrive at a sleek, modern building identified as the Saionji Group's top-secret research facility, Leaf. Inside, a smiling man in a lab coat and glasses named Yoshida greets Aaron. Yoshida welcomes him, explaining that his timing is perfect as he has a report ready. He slides a tablet across a desk, preparing to begin his detailed explanation. Yoshida explains that the potion works by stimulating abnormal cell regeneration deep within the body. Aaron, looking a bit lost, asks for a simpler explanation of the complex scientific terms. Yoshida simplifies it. The potion works by miraculously enhancing the body's natural healing abilities. However, he continues, the genetic information of the herb is completely alien to any plant on Earth. Aaron correctly deduces that the healing power must not come from the plant itself. Yoshida confirms his theory, stating that an unknown energy, magic, is clearly involved in the process. Aaron recalls the results of his own physical exams, which showed him breaking multiple world records. He quietly notes to himself that even so, Aoi and Chris are still much stronger than he is. Yoshida then delivers shocking news. They have successfully managed to cultivate one of the magical herbs. He presents a small potted plant, but explains that its healing effects are halved when grown on Earth. The plant is likely unable to thrive because it is starving for the magical elements of its native world. This leads Yoshida to a fascinating question. What would happen if the roles were reversed? Could a regular Earth plant absorb and retain magical energy if grown in Asphalt? Yoshida calls for his assistant, Tsukamoto, who appears instantly at his side. He then asks Aaron for a small favor, a request that makes Aaron visibly nervous. Yoshida instructs Tsukamoto to guide Aaron, leaving the young man looking utterly confused. The three of them walk down a bright, sterile hallway within the research facility. Tsukamoto gestures towards a door labeled Third Research Lab, announcing their arrival. Inside, she explains that the lab is filled with earth plants genetically similar to the otherworldly herbs. She asks Aaron if he would be willing to try and infuse these plants with his magic. He agrees to try, though he admits with a nervous sweat that he has never done it before. He holds his hand over the potted plants, concentrating, but there is no visible change. The researchers look on with disappointment, and Aaron apologizes, feeling a bit embarrassed. He reflects that while nothing was visible, he definitely felt a sensation and must now await the results. Tsukamoto thanks him for his time, promising to inform him as soon as they have any results. He realizes that, like the potions, the magic might slowly fade, requiring him to return. As he prepares to depart, Aaron stops and tells them that he has a request of his own. Back in Asphalt, Anna struggles to make sense of the complex financial reports Aaron created. Aaron finds her and asks if the regular brigade meetings are always so formal and strict. Seeing how tense she is, he reassures her that he will help her with anything she doesn't understand. Anna's expression turns serious as she says that something else has been bothering her. She gestures to a package he is carrying and asks what it is, but he tries to deflect. She stares at him, demanding to know if he will ever give her a proper explanation. He reassures her that everything he is doing is for the good of the brigade. His vague answer leaves Anna speechless as she watches him walk away down the hall. The formal brigade meeting is now in session, and Vice Captain Rafine is giving her report on dungeon reconnaissance. The various members of the Twilight Moon Brigade sit around a large table, listening intently. After Rafine, Anna is called to give her report, followed by the Magic Squad. Vice Captain Nana cheerfully reports that since Aaron's arrival, they've had a flood of male applicants. She adds with a dismissive wave that she rejected all of them, which seems to shock Aaron. She then pivots, announcing that she has her own candidate she would like to recommend. She presents the file for Piana, a noble girl with a high aptitude for healing magic. Aoi studies the file, thinking that, with training, the girl could become a valuable asset. Acknowledging their need for new members, Aoi asks Nana if she is certain about the recommendation. Nana winks confidently, insisting that now is the perfect time to recruit Piana before others notice her potential. Aoi gives her approval, provided that the terms of recruitment are fair and agreeable. Nana is overjoyed by the decision, clasping her hands together in thanks and celebration. With the Magic Squad's report concluded, the meeting moves on to the next item on the agenda. Anna jumps to her feet with a startled yes when she is called upon to speak. She nervously reads from her notes, confirming that all business with their various vendors has been concluded. Aoi looks at her expectantly and asks if there is anything else she needs to report. Anna panics, her eyes darting across her papers as she frantically searches for more information to share. Watching her struggle, Aaron is reminded of the intense pressure of his past life as a corporate employee. He raises a gloved hand, interrupting to inform Aoi that he has something to report. He hands a document to Anna, asking her to pass it around to the other members. He explains that his financial review revealed a major problem with the cost of maintaining their potions. Ao listens with great interest, understanding the significance of his discovery. He presents a flexible pouch, revealing it's a new, lighter, and more durable potion container he developed. Holding the pouch aloft, he declares that its greatest and most important feature is its extended shelf life. A special treatment allows the potion to be stored for a full month, 4 times longer than usual. The room buzzes with disbelief, and Aoi questions how they can trust such an outlandish claim. She sharply commands the room to be silent, her authority cutting through the noise. Princess Chris calmly interjects, suggesting that while doubt is natural, the truth will soon be clear. Aoi ignores her and proposes a practical solution, a 1-month trial using both types of containers. She asks if Aaron agrees to the test, and he readily accepts, thanking her for the opportunity. The heavy doors of the meeting room swing shut, marking the end of the discussion. Aaron stretches with a sigh of relief, glad that the potion cost issue is finally being addressed. His work, however, is not done. His gaze now falls upon a single perfect rose on his desk. In a flashback to the lab, a researcher identifies the magically infused flower as a rose. Tsukamoto explains that of all the plants tested, the rose retained the most magical energy. While other plants developed toxins, the rose's properties became remarkably similar to a medicinal herb. Aaron remembers his request to purchase the roses that had been successfully cultivated in Asfial. The researcher had agreed, promising to prepare as many samples as she could for his project. Aaron held the magical rose, recalling the order from Saionji's lab to halt his research. He mused that the flower's strange mutation was almost certainly his own doing. Deciding it was too wasteful to discard, he resolved to use the roses in potions. He found May, a magic squad member, and asked her to teach him potion making. Another brigade member had cheerfully confirmed that May was the perfect person to ask. In the library, May was skeptical, but Aaron explained his ingredient was not ordinary. Confused, May asked if he meant it wasn't a standard medicinal herb at all. She examined the strange, shimmering roses, amazed at the sight of the unknown plant. With a knowing smile, she told Aaron that he was still full of mysteries. She agreed to help, figuring a little ingenuity would make it work. To begin the lesson, May asked Aaron how much he already knew about potions. Since he only knew the basics, she offered to give him a simple explanation. Potions, she began, came in 3 grades and 4 colors, making 12 types. She explained the hierarchy, from green for scrapes to purple for regenerating flesh. Aaron was stunned at their power, but May said they could only make green. Purple potions were incredibly rare, as their key ingredient grew in dangerous places. It was the highest grade potion humans could create, one Aaron had never seen. When he asked about red potions, she explained they were now just a legend. The legendary grade 1 red potion, known as ichor, could supposedly grant resurrection. However, May clarified that while its existence was recorded, its true power was unconfirmed. Lesser versions of the red potion could heal fatal wounds and even rejuvenate the body. She grew emotional, lamenting that they had been hunted to near extinction long ago. Her lesson concluded, May turned her full attention to the cauldron before her. Peering into the bubbling pot, she announced that the potion was complete. It was purple. They stared in disbelief. May asked if he didn't just say purple was rare. May then asked what it was worth. Aaron said 5 million on the black market. Aaron himself looked shocked by the massive number he had just uttered. The value of 5 million gold echoed in the air, a testament to their success. Aoi inspected the potion, remarking that Aaron was full of good surprises. He explained he was aiming for blue as Aina grumbled about his impossible methods. Aoi warned him against selling it privately, suggesting the guild is a better option. Selling it through the guild, she reasoned, would greatly enhance their public reputation. Aaron was hesitant, questioning what kind of public reputation that would be. He worried about the consequences, which would affect not only the guild but him. Aoi dismissed his concerns, calling it a perfect opportunity for a field trip. She forbade him from using the team's name, not wanting to be hindered by it. He was struck by her maturity, thinking she was more adult than he was. She ordered him to keep the mission a secret from the other brigade members. She then assigned a stressed Aina to accompany him as the one in charge. Aaron cheerfully left the details to Aina, much to her bewildered dismay. As he walked out the door, Aaron was struck by a sudden thought. He had completely forgotten to ask what to do with his 5 sample potions. Later in his lab, he marveled that the liquid could be worth 5 million. He decided to brew the rest himself, without telling May about the magic roses. He tossed all the remaining roses into a beaker, enough for about 50 vials. He knew he had to trust his process to be ready for the next day's market. He examined the final product in a test tube, noting its strange reddish color. He wondered if it was a failure, as it looked more reddish-purple than true red. The potion lacked any legendary aura, and its true properties were a mystery. He knew it was different from purple, and worried it could cause a huge problem. With no safe way to dispose of the unknown substance, he decided on a last resort. He opened a moon gate, declaring that he had no other choice. He stepped through the portal onto the strange ground of another world. It was a desolate, icy wasteland, a world where truly nothing existed. He thought it was a good place to quickly hide the vial and then leave. But as he turned to depart, a sudden movement caught his eye. A massive, ornate disc descended from the sky, a beam of light shining down. He stared in utter shock, realizing it was some kind of orbital elevator. Panicked, he decided this was a terrible place to be and fled back through the gate. He found a more primitive, dinosaur-filled world and quickly buried the vial. He sealed the moon gate behind him. The sun rose on a new day. Aina approached a haggard-looking Aaron, asking him if he was all right. He rubbed his tired eyes, admitting that he hadn't slept very well. She stood before him, now dressed in her white cloak and adventurer's gear. Aaron stared blankly for a moment, momentarily failing to recognize her. He finally realized who she was, remarking on her adventurer style. She explained that the market was dangerous and he needed her protection. After all, she pointed out, he had absolutely no combat experience. She flashed a confident smile, assuring him that she would keep him safe. Thinking he was just nervous, she told him to hurry so they wouldn't be late. Touched by her misplaced concern, Aaron resolved to get his act together. He told her he was coming, and they set off for the market together. They arrived at the chaotic and bustling Royal Capital Black Market. Aaron surveyed their modest stall, declaring that they were officially ready for business. Their only merchandise was the single vial of purple potion and its appraisal papers. Aina nervously imagined all the shady dealings that must be happening around them. She explained it was just an unregulated market, but the goods were legitimate. Still, she warned that caution was necessary. Aaron asked her what she meant. She clarified that the high prices often attracted desperate and dangerous customers. Aaron dryly asked if he looked like the kind of person who would be ripped off. As the crowd swelled, Aaron noted that the market was about to open. The moment it did, a chaotic mob surged forward, pushing and shouting. Aaron and Aina were immediately jostled and shoved by the dense crowd. He shouted over the noise, asking if it was always this crowded. Aina grew anxious, thinking they should try to leave as soon as possible. Aaron looked at the potion, wondering if it was genuine. A portly merchant scoffed at their certificate, claiming he could easily forge one. He made an insultingly low offer, which Aaron calmly but firmly rejected. The surrounding crowd began to mutter, questioning the potion's authenticity. The merchant's cronies moved in, trying to intimidate the young pair. The man grabbed Aina's arm, telling her to be quiet if she wasn't buying. Aina exploded in anger, shoving him away and telling him to get lost. Enraged by her defiance, the merchant lunged at her, calling her a bitch. His hand reached out to grab her. Aaron intervened, catching the man's wrist and telling him he had gone too far. A swirling vortex of pure magical energy erupted from Aaron's outstretched fist. The powerful blast sent the merchant flying backwards through the air. He landed in a heap, unconscious, as the crowd stared in the stunned silence. Aaron looked on, a faint blush of embarrassment creeping up his cheeks. Aina looks up in a state of mortified shock, realizing her mistake. A voice gently admonishes her, and she meekly agrees to be careful. She buries her face in her hands, overwhelmed by shame and embarrassment. Aaron tells her that an adventurer shouldn't be attacking a commoner. He says to leave it to him next time, as he considers their predicament. A figure stops before them, holding the guild's certificate of appraisal. A knight captain with a calm, commanding voice says she will buy it. Stunned by the sudden sale, Aaron quickly thanks her for her business. The captain asks how he acquired such a rare item. He is evasive. She asks if he can restock it, but he cannot make any promises. She introduces herself as Maxwell and offers her card for future sales. She says the guild will buy it at a good price, and Aaron agrees. Maxwell asks if he's sure about the price, but he says it is no problem. She explains that potion prices are volatile, often doubling in times of war. A purple potion appears only once a month, leading many to retire. Regenerating limbs is a rare skill, far beyond a common adventurer's reach. That is why she said any price was fine. Money can buy the impossible. Aaron realizes this potion has the power to heal a comrade's injury. Maxwell reveals a friend lost a finger and needs the potion to reattach it. She says he was lucky, as the crowd is now flowing somewhere else. She explains that a shipment of 11 slaves has apparently just arrived. She suggests they go see it as a social studies lesson, and Aina agrees. Aaron is visibly disturbed by the harsh reality of slavery in this world. They arrive at a crowded courtyard where an auction is taking place. He notes this country has slaves, but it's different from his image. Aina consults a document explaining it's a small-scale servitude system. She holds up a paper explaining the terms and conditions listed on it. He is shocked they get a salary, but she says it isn't for criminals. She explains the 3 tiers of work, from dangerous to domestic labor. The work is difficult, but having a valuable skill is an advantage. He asks if elven slaves are rare, and she says they cost millions. Aaron quietly processes this complex and morally ambiguous system. He wonders why an elf would ever willingly sell herself into this life. The crowd is so dense that they can barely see the stage. Aaron warns Aina to be careful not to get separated in the throng. Aina is swept away by the crowd, calling for her to wait for him. The crowd surges forward with a great, chaotic clamor toward the stage. They are jostled and shoved until they are finally reunited at the front. Aaron feels a sense of relief, having been separated from her. He looks over and calls out her name, making sure that she's okay. They finally see the stage, where a serene elf girl sits on display. Both of them are struck by her ethereal beauty, whispering how lovely she is. Aina points out the condition sheet displayed for all potential buyers. It states no desired salary, contract period, or type of labor. Aaron looks closer, noticing there is one final, crucial condition. The elf holds the contract, which demands 1 grade 3 red potion. Aina surmises that the elf has a companion who is gravely ill. She believes the elf is traveling the land to find a desperate cure, but she cynically adds that the terms are a way to exploit her. She thinks a red potion's value is far greater than the elf's service. Aaron rubs his chin, thinking that it's not about the monetary value. He sees this not as a transaction, but as a desperate plea for help. Aina sees the elf's actions as a sacrifice that will be taken advantage of. She asks why he stopped walking. He says he was just thinking. She asks if he's interested in the elf, which he nervously denies. Aina gives him a knowing, silent look, seeing through his denial. She tells him that he won't last if he sympathizes with everyone. She advises him to only help those he is truly prepared to save. He thanks her for the good advice, while she calls his comment unnecessary. She turns to leave, telling him to hurry up so they can head back. Her pragmatic words give him the final push he needed to make a choice. He realizes this is a chance to hire a discreet employee he needs. He decides that if there's a chance to help, it is worth the risk. He returns to Japan, ringing the doorbell of the old woman's house. Her son Genji answers the door, surprised by the unexpected visitor. Aaron apologizes for the sudden visit, and Genji graciously invites him inside. Genji offers him dinner, but Aaron says that's not why he has come. He sits formally on his knees, surprising Genji with his seriousness. Aaron explains that he has come to ask Genji-san a very important favor. From the porch, he asks if it would be possible to borrow some land. He only needs it for a month, which seems to surprise the older man. Genji agrees, though he only has wasteland, and Aaron thanks him profusely. Genji tells him to do as he likes, wondering what he is studying now. A vertical panel transition marks the beginning of a new endeavor. Aaron stands before the field, glad he was able to secure the land. He worries aloud about his lack of farming experience. Suddenly, Kita arrives on a tractor, announcing he is here to help. Kita explains he borrowed the tractor from his parents, who are farmers. He looks over the overgrown field, taking in the scale of the task. He is amazed by how much the weeds have grown in the unused field. Aaron outlines his plan. Plant 4,000 roses for a harvest in 1 month. Kita thinks the plan sounds difficult, but Aaron remains optimistic. He assures a skeptical Kita that somehow it will all work out. Kita asks how he can be so sure, and Aaron points toward the field. He explains that the types of weeds are different on each side. Kita notes the field side was used recently and identifies a stubborn weed. He says there are no absolutes in farming. First, they must simply act. Kita pulls on a pair of sturdy and reliable work gloves. He then puts on a pair of clear safety goggles for protection. He tells Aaron that it's better to act first rather than overthink it. The two get to work, clearing the field with powerful weed whackers. They load the mountains of cut brush onto the back of a small truck. Kita then tills the earth with a heavy-duty tractor. Aaron watches, impressed by the incredible progress they have made. By sunset, the field is completely cleared, a deeply satisfying sight. Kita jokes that, with his tireless work, Aaron is like a walking tractor. They take a break, and Aaron says he's just glad to use the land. Kita asks what he means, and Aaron explains the land was unused. Kita confirms that his uncle was happy to have someone use it. He says it's only natural to be compensated for using the land. As Aaron and Kita relax by a river, Kita explains his uncle is a landowner with many troubles. Aaron seems surprised when Kita cheerfully promises to help him again tomorrow. Kita surprises Aaron further by revealing he took the day off from his job just to help. Feeling guilty, Aaron insists Kita shouldn't go to such lengths for him. Kita looks at a long list of farming tasks, doubting Aaron could manage it alone. Aaron offers to pay for the help, saying he'll at least cover the fuel costs. Kita sincerely asks why Aaron is acting so distant toward him. With a gentle smile, Kita states that he simply wants to help because they are friends. Aaron is struck silent, completely taken aback by Kita's heartfelt words. He quietly processes the term friends, realizing it's the first time he's been called one. Kita adds that he wants to be proper friends, acknowledging Aaron's serious nature. Suddenly getting an idea, Kita tells Aaron he has just one request for him. He excitedly asks Aaron to join him in his anime missionary work later. The scene transitions, focusing on a single unopened rosebud in the newly planted field. Aaron stands alone amidst the rows of seedlings, announcing he has finally finished planting. A voice calls out, apologizing to Aaron for him having to get so much help. Akira appears, explaining that she had prepared the land, but couldn't offer more support. Aaron quickly reassures her, saying that preparing the roses was more than enough help. Akira offers him a bottle of red potion as thanks, promising her continued support. The two sit together on a bench, a quiet and serious atmosphere settling between them. Aaron tells Akira there is something important he needs to ask her about. Her expression grim, Akira reveals the magic rose research at the Leaf facility was halted. Aaron starts to object, but Akira insists that this is something he needs to know. Resigned, Aaron listens, understanding the gravity of the impending conversation. Akira begins her explanation, starting with the structure of the Saionji family. Aaron listens intently, guessing that he can already imagine the core of the problem. He asks if the issue is simply that the main and branch families have a bad relationship. Akira confirms that Rugen and Ukai are cousins locked in a fierce business rivalry. She asks if he remembers Rugen's security guard from their first meeting. She reveals the guard was a spy who leaked secret information to the branch family. Aaron understands that while they cooperate publicly, they are fundamentally competitors. Akira clarifies that their power is similar. The only difference is their direct lineage. However, she notes that their business jurisdictions are completely separate. Rugen's family handles industries like automotive and IT, while Ukai's controls genetics. Aaron realizes the Leaf facility is under the control of the currently dominant branch family. As a single rosebud is shown, Aaron thinks to himself that he finally understands. He admits to having complicated feelings, given his personal debt to the Leaf facility. Akira grabs his arm, warning that the power struggle will now intensify. They are both shown as shocked chibi figures as she mentions the otherworld industry. She explains that massive multi-billion yen projects are already underway. The weight of being the sole supplier crashes down on Aaron, filling him with anxiety. He realizes Rugen had been deliberately shielding him from this corporate power struggle. He sighs, feeling both guilty for his ignorance and grateful for the protection. When Akira asks what he means, he brings up the magic rose cultivation site. She smiles slyly, pointing out that a closed-off village is ideal for controlling information. Aaron flinches, a nervous sweat breaking out as he understands her cunning plan. She playfully warns him not to upset the villagers, though her eyes are not smiling. Back in Asfiel, Aaron explains to Aoi his reasons for setting up the farm in Japan. He tells her that he can now secure a stable income from potion sales. He notes the preparations will take months and that he must keep the elf hidden. He also informs her that he has learned about the Saionji family's internal politics. He asks if she has anything more to add, and she quietly confirms his story. Aoi states with conviction that the only person she can truly trust is her father. Changing the subject, Aaron presents her with one of the potted magic roses. She examines it closely, correctly identifying that it is not a true magic rose. She explains that it has simply been bathed in his unique magical energy. Aoi realizes that an herb that can create purple potions would be immensely valuable. She deduces that the key to this phenomenon must be a trait of Aaron's magic. She recalls that reincarnators often possess special blessings unknown to this world. She points out the contradiction that he himself cannot actually use magic. She wonders aloud if his power is an unconfirmed attribute or his unique blessing. As Aaron leaves, Aoi instructs him to report back if he discovers anything new. He looks at his own hand, still pondering the mysterious nature of his power. He knows plants can pass through the moon gate, but the source of his ability is unknown. He steels himself, knowing he must proceed with his plans despite the uncertainty. The scene shifts to the magnificent, palace-like building of the Royal Academy. Aaron walks down a grand, ornate hallway, his footsteps echoing in the silence. He reminds himself that he has preparations to make besides creating the red potion. He sighs, wondering if his other simultaneous plans will actually succeed. A maid greets him at a large door, welcoming him to his scheduled meeting. He stands in the doorway, thanking his host for seeing him on short notice. Princess Chris, now wearing a striking white uniform, asks him about his business. Upon hearing about the elf, she calls the situation a classic light novel development. Aaron tries to deny it, insisting he was just looking for an employee. She says she figured as much before casually changing the subject over a cup of tea. She suddenly appears right in front of him, asking why he is keeping his distance. With a serious look, she tells him not to be so distant, as it excites her. He nervously agrees, asking if she is sure, as she settles onto a nearby couch. He presents her with a box of cream puffs, which she happily accepts. He thanks her for her constant support, and she thanks him for the thoughtful gift. She decides to save them for her family, instantly encasing the box in a block of ice. Aaron is left speechless, completely shocked by the casual display of immense power. He asks if that was ice magic, and she confirms it with a pleasant smile. She explains its many uses, from combat to refrigeration, which he finds amazing. She then clarifies that it wasn't technically magic, which only confuses Aaron more. She explains that her immense power leaks out when she relaxes her concentration. She sighs that it can be rather inconvenient, as Aaron looks on, utterly dumbfounded. He realizes her magic is so powerful that it can freeze things around her by accident. Getting back to business, she tells him she has a request regarding the elf. She reveals that she has already prepared a separate house for the elf in the capital. She explains the elf cannot stay with the brigade because of her other companions. She reminds Aaron that slavery is prohibited in some countries, posing a political risk. If the brigade were caught harboring a slave overseas, it would be a major incident. Aaron understands she is trying to avoid causing trouble for the rest of the brigade. He also imagines Ina's furious reaction and agrees it's a matter of his own safety. Chris agrees to find a safe location for the elf to stay in. She warns him that the situation will be accompanied by future dangers. She explains that the people who failed to buy the elf will likely try to find her. She suggests setting up strong anti-crime magic at the house to deter any intruders. With that matter settled, Chris announces that she has one more thing to discuss. Aaron explains his desire for another identity to hide from the world and the brigade. Chris understands his predicament, and Aaron asks if his request is too difficult to fulfill. With a confident smile, Chris asks who he thinks she is, declaring anything is possible. Aaron asks if she is certain, and she cheerfully replies that she is indebted to him. She promises to issue him both a family register and a merchant's guild card. He apologizes for taking her time, but she insists she was happy to be of service. As Aaron departs, he smiles and silently vows to repay her kindness for this favor. The door clicks shut, leaving Chris alone in the room, her expression suddenly still. In a moment of pure otaku bliss, she reverently thinks his smile was precious. The scene shifts to Japan, showing a pair of boots standing on grassy ground. It is Aaron, standing in the field he now uses for his secret project. The entire area is now surrounded by a high chain-link fence with warning signs. A modern security camera swivels on its post, vigilantly monitoring the perimeter. From a nearby guardhouse, a man in a suit keeps watch through a pair of binoculars. Aaron marvels at the incredible security, while Akira calls it a standard precaution. He feels it's an overreaction, but she firmly states this level of security is normal. Akira reminds him that the secrecy of this otherworldly project is absolutely paramount. She explains that the stringent measures are for his own safety and must be maintained. Aaron worries about frightening the villagers, but Akira assures him there is no problem. The villagers were simply told Aaron is developing new products for the Saionji group. Aaron is relieved they were convinced and decides he should explain things to them himself. A single perfect rose blooms. The harvest is in a week, its success depending on magic. Akira confirms that his current schedule of magical infusions should be sufficient for the crop. She asks if he would like to see the place where he imbues the roses with power. Aaron agrees, raising his hands with focused intent to begin the magical process. Instantly, the entire field of roses begins to pulse with a soft, ethereal glow. Akira stares in utter amazement, whispering to herself as she watches the spectacle. Aaron admits he doesn't know why, but the flowers recently started glowing on their own. She asks if he can analyze the magic, but he confesses he is not a specialist. A team of Saionji researchers suddenly arrives, excitedly photographing the glowing phenomenon. Akira is flustered, realizing these are the group's most esteemed scientific minds. She takes charge, telling Aaron they will handle the cultivation in the upcoming harvest. Back in Asfial, the scene shows the familiar exterior of the brigade's headquarters. Aaron finds Ina inside, relieved to have finally located her with his documents. Aina rushes up to him, quickly handing him a sealed letter addressed to him. He asks who sent it, and she informs him it's from the real estate agent. He quickly glances over the dense, formal script of the property deed. The house deed arrived sooner than expected, he notes, much to Aina's confusion. He casually announces he is moving soon and has bought a house, shocking Aina. She asks about the sudden decision, but he says it is simply a good opportunity. Aina's mind reels, recalling the immense fortune he earned from his royal clients. Clutching her head, she complains that the world no longer makes sense to her. She sternly asks if he has properly reported this massive purchase to their leader, Oi. He admits he hasn't yet, explaining that a few details are still being finalized. He then dashes off, announcing he is going to inspect the new property immediately. Aina is left behind, utterly baffled and wondering what on earth is going on. Aaron arrives in a quaint and bustling town square, alive with activity. A friendly real estate agent greets him and presents the impressive house he has purchased. She leads him inside, detailing the spacious layout with its 7 extra rooms. The exterior of the home features large, multi-paned windows that promise plenty of light. The agent points out that the house gets excellent sunlight and good ventilation. The tour continues, showcasing a well-equipped kitchen area with a large brick oven. Aaron is impressed, thinking to himself that the princess chose a splendid property. He opens another door, his curiosity piqued as he explores his new home. He is delighted to find a large, modern-looking bathtub with a shower fixture. He asks excitedly if it's a bath, and the agent happily confirms that it is. She demonstrates how infusing a small stone with magic provides running water. Another glowing crystal, she explains, can be used to heat the bath water. He marvels at the advanced civilization in this part of the capital. With a hopeful smile, he wonders if the toilet might be just as impressive. He closes the door a moment later, admitting to himself he got his hopes up. The agent notices his thoughtful silence and calls out to him. She asks if he's concerned about the empty storage, but he apologizes for his distraction. She says she will prepare the final documents, and he gives her his approval. After the agent leaves, Aaron stands alone for a moment in the quiet house. The sound of the agent's footsteps fades as she departs from the property. He lets out a soft sigh and sits down on the sun-drenched wooden veranda. He reflects that he has come this far, even without having made the red potion yet. He briefly worries about failing and ending up living in this big house all alone. He dismisses the thought, deciding that all he can do now is wait for next week. He gazes through a window into one of the rooms, his expression thoughtful. He sees the elf, Arya, and wonders about the person who was trying so hard to save her. Later, Princess Chris presents him with the guild card she promised to acquire for him. He examines the card, which is inscribed with the name Hakuba Issei and the rank Krimus. He is completely bewildered by the name, while Chris muses it's a cool alias. He is grateful for the card but questions the meaning of the strange Krimus rank. Chris clears her throat, agreeing that she has a lot of explaining to do. A diagram illustrates the 5 standard guild ranks for merchants, from iron to platinum. Rank is determined by an adventurer's deeds or a merchant's contributions to the kingdom. Aaron notes that he has never seen a reddish-purple card like this at the guild before. Chris reveals that there is, in fact, one more special rank above all the others. Aaron repeats her words in disbelief, surprised to hear of a special rank. The rank is Krimus, she explains, named after the rarest and most valuable ore. It is a title bestowed only by the king upon merchants of great renown. She adds that this is the same rank held by the country's 2 largest merchant guilds. Stunned, Aaron asks what could have possibly happened to warrant such an honor. A flashback begins as Chris enters the king's grand and ornate chambers. King Romanus Fay-Cain-Lees III greets his niece warmly, asking what she requires. She explains she has brought a special sweet that she wishes for him to try. The king regards the simple pastry with a look of mild curiosity. He examines the round, unassuming cream puff sitting on the plate before him. Chris tells him it is a foreign confection known as a shoe cream. He takes a bite, and his eyes immediately widen with delighted surprise. He is astonished by the light dough and the smooth, sweet liquid filling. The king asks how she obtained it, and she asks if he enjoyed the taste. She explains it is from a new merchant, and that she has a request concerning him. The king invites her to speak, and she asks for a family register and status for him. The king understands her reasoning, noting the merchant's operation is still small. He deduces that such a talented confectioner must be protected from powerful rivals. With a flash of inspiration, the king brightly decides that the Krimus rank would be perfect. Princess Chris closes her eyes, a serene and satisfied smile gracing her lips. Aaron and an attendant gasp in shock, exclaiming the name of the prestigious rank. In a flashback, an advisor cautions the king against his hasty royal decree. The king shrewdly notes it is better to honor this merchant than lose him. He muses that the simple cream puffs hold enough power to change fortunes. Chris concludes her story, leaving a stunned Aaron to process the incredible news. She explains the immense benefits, like easy land acquisition and unlimited guild loans. Chris sheepishly admits she was only trying to secure him a silver rank. Aaron smiles, realizing this high rank makes their business dealings much clearer. She thanks him for his help and tells him not to worry about it. She offers to procure any item he might need in the future. Flustered, she quickly clarifies her offer is limited only to physical objects. She regains her composure, promising to ask again later, leaving Aaron bewildered. She then remembers she has a gift she wanted to give to him. She offers a gift, suggesting he'll need a disguise with his new identity. The gift is a magnificent white uniform, identical to her idol's attire. As he tries to depart, she begs him to try on the uniform. The scene fades, transitioning to a different time and place. In Japan, a gloved hand carefully snips a perfectly bloomed magic rose. Aaron apologizes to Akira for making her help with the difficult harvest. She reassures him, explaining that the researchers present are all willing volunteers. Akira notes they may get another harvest soon, but preparations are needed. She reveals plans to buy the land, leaving Aaron awed by her efficiency. She urges him to hurry, as they must finish the harvest by noon. Aaron calmly tells her that there is no need to rush the work. He turns to see a truck already loaded, the harvest somehow complete. Yoshida, the lead researcher, eagerly urges them to head to the lab. Akira gives the order, and the team prepares to move to the facility. They arrive at the modern, multi-story Saionji Group Research Laboratory. Inside, crates of harvested magic roses are poured into a large processor. A heavy press descends, extracting the precious essence from the petals. The complex machinery whirs to life, controlled by a digital interface. Yoshida, now in full protective gear, examines the resulting red liquid. Aaron observes, impressed by the researcher's intense and serious demeanor. A single concentrated drop of the extract is carefully added to a beaker. Akira watches intently, identifying the shimmering liquid as the red potion. Aaron voices his hope that the scientific process has yielded a true potion. He still finds it hard to believe a medicine can regenerate vital organs. Akira turns to address Aaron, her back still partially to him. She confesses that she doesn't truly understand the potion's power either. Aaron explains that his own research only uncovered vague, unconfirmed legends. Legends claim the Grade 1 potion could even grant immortality to the dead. Historically, the rare potion was monopolized by the wealthy and powerful. Akira confirms that the potion is known to have rejuvenating effects. Aaron notes its practical limitations for healing immediately fatal injuries. She recalls a record of someone living 550 years proving its effect. She reasons that if lesser potions work, the legends might be true. However, with Arya's life on the line, its effects remain unverified. Akira worries about the cruelty of giving her hope that might be false. She concludes that she does not believe it is a wise course of action. Yet she concedes that a slim chance is better than no chance at all. Aaron quietly agrees, understanding the difficult weight of the decision. He reflects that Aoi must have felt a similar desperation for him. He laments that their tight schedule prevents any further research or testing. Akira notes they surprisingly produced enough for nearly 2 full vials. Aaron marvels at how technology achieved in 1 hour what took him all night. Akira muses that sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. He agrees, thinking that this world's science would seem magical to others. The final product, a beautifully ornate bottle of red potion, is ready. Back in Asphil, a cloaked Aaron heads out into the city streets. He arrives at the chaotic and bustling black market on its final day. He observes the lively crowd, noting the market's incredible energy. He overhears merchants discussing how the elf remains unsold due to her price. They confirm that only a legendary red potion will satisfy the terms. Hearing this, Aaron comes to a determined stop in the crowded street. He stands before the large tent designated as the slave trading post. An attendant inside is startled by the sudden appearance of the cloaked figure. The young man quickly recovers, offering a cheerful welcome and asking his business. Aaron states his intent to buy the elf, prompting a clarifying question. From beneath his hood, Aaron confirms that he has read the terms. The attendant notes the heavy security, apologizing for the intense scrutiny. He then requests to see Aaron's guild card, which is promptly presented. The attendant's eyes widen in utter shock as he reads the card's rank. He scrambles away in a panic, begging the mysterious customer to wait. Aaron, left alone, thinks the attendant's reaction was quite dramatic. A new, more authoritatively dressed man quickly appears to greet him. The head merchant apologizes profusely and takes over the transaction personally. He graciously gestures for Aaron to follow him to a private room. Seated in a lavish room, the merchant formally welcomes his esteemed guest. He admits his ignorance of a creamus merchant and asks when he was promoted. Aaron explains his recent promotion is connected to his royal clientele. The merchant gets to business, asking if he possesses the required red potion. Aaron presents the ornate, shimmering bottle containing the legendary elixir. The merchant stares, his composure breaking as he beholds the impossible item. He asks for permission to hold the bottle, which Aaron readily grants. He admits that in all his years, this is his first time seeing one. He requests to have the potion's authenticity officially appraised for safety. While they wait, he offers to give a brief summary of the elf. He explains her skills include literacy, calculations, magic, and archery. Her extensive botanical knowledge makes her suitable for scholarly or adventuring work. Aaron recalls reading that elves were indeed experts in botany. He considers that her skills could be invaluable for his rose cultivation. The merchant continues, stating her personal details and her humble contract request. He is completely baffled by her request for such a low-tier contract. He politely asks if his client is aware of the typical market rates. A helpful diagram illustrates the vast difference in slave contract values. He stresses that her value is still incomparable to the priceless red potion. Aaron thinks to himself that with time, he can always make more potions. The merchant questions his decision, reminding him of his role as a businessman. He states that while profit is important, he values trust just as highly. An appraiser informs the merchant that the potion's assessment is complete. The result is a grade 3 red potion. She confirms it is genuine. The merchant is relieved, while Aaron admits he was worried about failure. The merchant says he will summon Ulua, and Aaron agrees. The soft clicking of sandals announces the elf girl's approach. The merchant introduces Muriel, who asks if Aaron is the one. The three of them stand together in the candlelit room. The merchant claps his hands, ready to finalize the contract's details. He explains that Muriel's debts are settled, so Aaron owes nothing more. Aaron, using his alias, confirms he will not be paying extra. Muriel is in disbelief that he truly managed to find a red potion. The merchant suggests a salary of 350,000 gold for third-tier labor. Muriel quickly states that she has no problem with the proposed terms. In fact, she insists she doesn't need money, offering her life for the potion. The merchant listens quietly to her desperate, heartfelt plea. She understands his feelings, but asks about the one he is helping. Aaron clarifies he is asking about the person who will receive the potion. The merchant reveals her name is Arya Feinkiss, a rare high elf. Aaron is stunned by the revelation that she is a high elf. The merchant explains high elves are like royalty, possessing immense magic. Aaron asks about their connection. Muriel explains she is Arya's servant. Arya has been unconscious for over a year after a battle with a monster. Her special lineage makes her a target for a purist elf faction. A flashback shows a high elf child, an incredibly rare awakened. The elf race is split between those who accept and those who resent her. The merchant warns that the purist faction may try to attack again. However, he believes they are relatively safe within the capital's walls. Aaron acknowledges the danger and commits the warning to memory. He reflects on the many unexpected turns this contract has taken. He considers Muriel's personality and the complicated high elf situation. His primary hope is that the healing ritual will proceed without issue. They arrive at a grand house under the light of a full moon. Inside, Aaron feels a powerful magic similar to Princess Chris's aura. Muriel reveals Arya is consuming magic just to survive at half strength. Aaron is shocked that this incredible power is less than half her full potential. He muses her true strength must be many times greater than Chris's. The merchant asks if Aaron is ready to proceed, and he confirms. An assistant prepares the potion as Muriel watches anxiously over Arya. With a steady hand, the legendary red potion is administered. An ornate grandfather clock on the wall slowly ticks away the time. They all wait by the bedside, but there is no immediate change. The onlookers stand in silence, wondering if the potion is working. Aaron and the merchant watch with growing apprehension. Muriel sits vigil, softly calling out her mistress's name. The clock's hands move, marking the passage of several long hours. Muriel bows her head, clasping Arya's hand tightly in prayer. Suddenly, she feels a faint twitch from the hand she is holding. Arya's eyes flutter open, and she weakly whispers Muriel's name. Overcome with emotion, Muriel calls her mistress's name in return. The other servants rush into the room, overjoyed that Arya is awake. One of the male servants stares in utter disbelief at the miracle. Muriel collapses onto the bed, weeping with profound relief. Watching from the doorway, Aaron allows himself a quiet, satisfied smile. The merchant asks where he is going. Aaron says he will return later. He turns and exits the room, leaving them to their reunion. Outside, a group of women rushes up, asking him what happened. They are ecstatic to hear that Arya has truly woken up. The merchant notes that Miria is normally more composed than this. The women agree, saying her reaction shows how much she cared. As Aaron walks down the street, a woman with long hair stops him. She asks if he is the one who bought Miria. He confirms he is, and she thanks him with deep sincerity. She explains that Miria is like a daughter to her, getting emotional. Aaron states he has no intention of treating her cruelly as a slave. The woman lets out a soft, knowing chuckle at his words. She then reveals that she herself was once a slave, shocking Aaron. She explains it is not so different from another country or culture. Her former master was a kind person, so it wasn't a bad experience. Aaron asks if that's truly how it is, and she assures him it is. She is confident that Miria's inner strength will see her through. A single leaf falls as Aaron walks away, pondering her wisdom. Now uncloaked, Aaron decides he must prepare the house for their arrival. He unexpectedly runs into Iori, who remarks on the coincidence. She mentions his new house, causing Aaron to panic that he was found out. Aoi asks if he bought it with cash, and he is relieved. She asks if the furniture is from his world, and he says it is not. Aoi then tells him that she has a favor to ask of him. She asks if she might be able to stay at his new house. Aaron is completely stunned by her unexpected request. He is left speechless, unsure of how to respond to her. Aoi explains she feels unsettled lately, and the team house is crowded. He leads her to the property, announcing that this is his home. He apologizes for it being empty, as she thanks him for his hospitality. As he closes the door, Aoi asks where he thinks he's going. She reminds him that as the owner, he should be staying as well. He opens another door, telling her this is the living room for now. Aoi looks inside, noting that the house is truly empty. She turns to Aaron and tells him she has one final request. She asks him to open a moon gate connected to his Tokyo apartment. He complies, and she informs him that her attendant, Akira, will do the rest. A modern Japanese refrigerator suddenly begins to emerge from the portal. Aaron asks what is happening, but Aoi says she will explain later. Aoi sips tea, commenting that Akira always does excellent work. Aaron feels he is intruding while she is trying to relax. Now settled on a new sofa, Aoi asks for an explanation from him. She muses that he couldn't possibly live here or carry all this back. She declares that all the new furniture is her housewarming gift to him. He looks around the fully furnished room, asking if she means all of it. Aoi guarantees the quality of the brand name items as Aaron worries about the cost. He asks if a machine is a coffee maker, and she confirms it is. In his new home, Aoi offers a surprised Aaron a cup of hot coffee. He accepts the mug and takes a careful, thoughtful sip from the warm drink. He is surprised by the rich flavor, as Aoi remarks that tastes change. Aaron jokes that his new body is the reason, before his thoughts turn serious. Aoi changes the subject, asking directly if he bought the elf from the capital. The question catches Aaron completely off guard, and he freezes with the mug in hand. He slowly lowers the cup, his expression betraying his attempt to hide the truth. He asks why she would think such a thing as she turns off the faucet. She explains that the elf's sale was well-known information throughout the city. An ordinary elf would have sold immediately, but this one remained for a month. The reason, she explains, was the impossibly high price, a legendary red potion. I notes that acquiring such an item would require state-level secrecy to hide. Aaron suggests that maybe the potion was actually created within the capital. An image of a rose reminds Aoi of his success with purple potion herbs. She knew he was up to something after he used his magic to its limit. The value of a red potion, she explains, is in its extreme rarity. It is like the holy relics from dungeons that have long since been exhausted. But if one could make the potion themselves, its value would be much lower. Aaron throws his hands up in surrender, admitting that she figured everything out. Aoi reassures him that she doesn't intend to criticize his decision. In fact, she feels ashamed that her own lack of influence forced his hand. If she had more power, he wouldn't have needed to act in secret. She believes he would have consulted her if she was in a better position. He protests it was personal, but she insists protecting her members is her duty. Aaron is moved, realizing she truly considers him part of the brigade. Aoi apologizes and says she will not interfere with the matter any further. She simply asks that he consult her if he has any problems with the elf. At the slave guild, the merchant asks if the terms of the contract are set. A magical light forms between Muria's hand and the officials, sealing the deal. The official lowers his hand, announcing that the contract is now complete. He smiles warmly, stating that his work is now done. The other merchants bid Muria farewell, thanking her for her time with them. They leave in a covered wagon, their business concluded. Miria reflects that her opinion of slave merchants has changed for the better. She cautiously approaches Aaron from behind, ready to address him. She bows deeply, vowing to repay his kindness for the rest of her life. A flustered Aaron tells her to be less formal and just call him by his name. Arya suddenly appears, cheekily remarking that Aaron is quite handsome for a human. Miria panics at her mistress's casual tone, but Aaron says it is all right. Arya dismisses the formalities, noting he has no contract with her. Aaron looks at the high elf, his expression growing thoughtful and serious. He senses her immense power and wonders what monster could have defeated her. He thinks to himself that he would like to hear her full story someday. The scene transitions to the exterior of Aaron's newly purchased home. The sun shines brightly on the charming, spacious house. Miria asks if this is their new home, and Arya declares it magnificent. As Arya runs toward the entrance, Aaron quickly holds up a hand to stop her. He explains his house rule of no shoes inside, which Arya finds peculiar. With her boots in hand, Arya excitedly announces the start of their exploration. Miria discovers a closet filled with modern clothes from Aaron's world. Arya finds a strange black box and asks Aaron what it is. He explains it is a portable power source and reassures her it isn't dangerous. Overjoyed by the soft sofa, Arya happily bounces up and down on it. Aaron smiles, simply glad that the two of them have recovered their spirits. His small clock indicates that 10 minutes have passed since their arrival. Arya continues her energetic tour, opening every cabinet and drawer she finds. Miria tells her to stop being so childish, but Arya insists she is still young. She defiantly spins around, declaring that she is not done exploring yet. She blushes as she continues her search, with Aaron and Miria watching. Aaron decides it's the perfect time for a meal, ending the chaotic search. A beautiful and bountiful meal is spread across the dining table. Aaron is pleased with the variety of dishes he has prepared for them. Miria apologizes, saying that cooking should have been her responsibility. He tells her not to worry and invites them both to sit down and eat. Arya points to a dish, and Aaron explains it is salmon carpaccio. Miria is hesitant when she learns that the fish is served raw. Aaron recalls that elves are vegetarian and worries that he has made a mistake. However, after tasting it, both elves are stunned by the delicious flavor. Arya then marvels at another new food, which Aaron explains is called rice. After the meal, a satisfied Arya relaxes on the couch, hugging a stuffed rabbit. Aaron is glad she likes the gift and says he will go prepare a bath. He tells a worried Miria to take it easy, as it's their first day here. Arya watches him leave, her expression unreadable as she clutches the rabbit. Miria quietly admits that while their new master is kind, she is still worried. Arya gets up and sits next to Miria, who asks what is wrong. She gently shakes Miria, trying to make her understand the gravity of her actions. She explains that him being a good person was simply a matter of luck. She shudders to think what would have happened if a cruel man had bought her. Miria looks at her mistress, her eyes filled with concern and understanding. Arya makes her promise to never again risk her own life so recklessly. Miria smiles and agrees, as Arya tells her to answer her immediately. Just then, Aaron returns, announcing that he has remembered something. He cheerfully asks if they would like to have some dessert that he brought. The two elves look up, their serious conversation brought to an abrupt end. The next day begins with the sun rising over the trees. Aaron stretches on the porch of his new house, enjoying the morning air. He reflects on how wonderful it is to finally have a home of his own. He opens his mailbox and is surprised to see a letter waiting for him. He pulls out the envelope, wondering who could possibly be sending him mail. He examines the wax seal and recognizes the sender's name, Ray Castellano.